Last year was coined as the year of playability.
Mm-hmm.
So
And they
we just
succeeded. They did
backdoored a whole
succeed.
bunch of playability improvements that server meshing, which dropped last year, enabled. So we've had all of those improvements last year that made the game far more playable than it was in any previous year. That phrase has been used, it's weaponized, it's thrown back every once in a while, every time somebody encounters any kind of bug whatsoever. So I want to talk.
See, I don't get it.
And that's
Okay,
not
I don't get
entirely.
it. When you say a game's not playable or the playability is ass, what do you mean? Did you encounter one bug that you couldn't walk around? When you know that most things in Star Citizen, when you encounter a bug, it's a thing of walking around them. It's not that the bug's gonna get fixed immediately, it's walking around them. Do you then go tell everyone the game's not playable because you didn't walk around the bug or you just didn't want to walk around the bug? Because for me, a game not being playable is you can't log in. And that's a permanent thing. Like you can't log in, that's not playable. So this one has an issue where they can't get into the game and then they say the game is unplayable because I have everything that I should have and I'm doing everything right and I just can't get into the game. I understand those people when they say the game is not playable. But if you're encountering a bug in the game, you die or you lose your ship, but then you can respawn and reclaim your ship. The only thing is you just lost everything you had there because of a bug. Does that mean the game's not playable? Because you're going to log in tomorrow again. You're going to log in next week and you're going to continue playing. So why are you going around spreading the narrative that the game is not playable?
Entirely unfairly, because everybody's bug that they're encountering is the most important bug in the universe at that given moment. And
That's the thing. Everyone thinks their bug is the biggest bug.
I want to talk a little bit more about what we did gain last year. It's whether that's the transit system stuff, the 30Ks
Transit is
finally
working a lot
being
better.
killed, the creatures and boss fights and stuff. When
Boss fights coming in
how did our
slowly.
year of playability
Beautiful.
go in your head?
Beautiful.
Well, so I think that, obviously coming from the server meshing improvements, there was also some failings at the beginning of the year where we saw, transit became a very big problem.
Yeah, Transit was
That's an
doing a little bit of
Only because we tried to use
whoa.
it. Yeah, well, yeah, or it tried to serve you, but badly. But that's an example of a system that was built years ago that wasn't properly scaled over time. And so when you added dynamic gateways for the transit system plus the meshing situation, that became
kind of
a
broke
really
things.
problematic system. And so
Yeah, I remember at one point last year, like even in Area 18 in our corp, no tram would come for ages, and the trams would be taking you into the abyss. You get on the tram and you're just flying into the abyss, and it's like, wait, no, I need to go back down this way.
that was, I think, the first order of business once we launched 4.0 was like, we need to really take action on transit.
And fix
And so
transit, yeah.
we talked about this last year, but we did create the Transit Heroes group, a coalition of volunteers. Well, they got volunteered.
Voluntold.
Voluntold.
Exactly. To come and give a bit of oversight on this, to look at the system to see, okay, what do we need to actually,
Fix
have
it, yeah.
stable elevators and trains and, make sure that that's always available. Because the traversal of the game, if that doesn't work, then the game
doesn't
at all.
work. And that's what I mean. If the things like traversal, and I keep saying it, whenever I do a review, whenever I always tell them, whenever there's an issue with transit in Star Citizen, that is a big problem because everyone needs to use transit. I know we've done all this stuff where we've eliminated starting transit, where you log in your home station and you're in your hangar. Yes, we have done that. Good. But just because you have skipped over the problem, we can't let transit get bad, because people still need to go back to the city. People still need to use the transit system, especially if you're not in your home planet. We need things like transit. The ASOPs need to be on high levels of workable at all given times when we're that's the crux of it. You need those things to be functioning at a high level all the time. And I'm glad they know.
What if you can't take an elevator to get out of the habs, then
Exactly.
You've got 20.
good luck, right? So the Transit Heroes team, I think, has done a fantastic job. They haven't re-engineered the system in that strike team, but they really focused on self-healing strategies, right? If a manager loses a carriage for some reason, for any reason, well, just create another one and get this thing rolling, right? Now, they couldn't fix, in this effort, they couldn't rebuild the system. There was fundamental flaws in how it was engineered for server meshing support, and so, but at least they got it into working condition. So I do think,
Yeah,
like, if
it's
you look
very
at the game
workable.
now,
It's been a long time, maybe 6 months since I last said, oh, I can't go somewhere because the elevator isn't working, or oh, the tram isn't coming. It's been a very long time since I've had that issue.
Transit is no longer the big problem it used to be.
Yeah.
Right? Like it actually functions when you need it.
Yeah.
Now that said,
Most times.
it fixes itself, right? So it's still,
It takes some. Yeah,
Getting
sometimes
a
you have to
state,
wait
but it
2
fixes
minutes for a
itself.
tram.
So,
Yeah.
we've done more about this, and we'll talk about it later.
And we're building the transport system
correct
concurrently.
Yeah, absolutely.
So while this team is repairing the transit system,
What's
we're
a
building new
transport?
bespoke transport system.
Right. So transport is basically the fix for this, like the real fix.
Let's get to transport when we talk about what's fun.
Wait, are they making a system that's gonna fully replace like the mechanisms behind the transit system? So we might get a whole new like transit system mechanic, or is it just gonna be underlying things like things are under the bonnet, like it's gonna look the same in game?
What else did we get last year?
Well, I got a list here that I worked out a little bit with Jens just to gather up because the game is so big. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna limit you
Start
a
sitting
little
this
bit on this time.
a little
You've got-
big.
You've got.
okay,
I'm gonna give you 5 minutes.
sounds good.
I'm gonna give you 5 minutes.
I'm being
to go
time
through,
boxed.
because we do want to get to the new exciting hotness. And
I'll go
This
fast.
is important.
Okay.
Why are we
so
rushing him?
we talked
Why
about
are we
30K
rushing?
protection.
Look at my clock app.
Okay,
Here we go.
No, he's actually timing him, bro.
You should be a producer. Okay, 30K protection, transit improvements, right, to make it stable.
Okay.
A stable tech base for the content teams. What doesn't show is that to achieve the content we shipped in 25, we actually froze a lot of the technology to give the content teams a stable base to work off. So we did that. As we built all of this content last year, so a monthly patch was a very heavy cadence.
Very.
Yeah. I think that what's really cool is that we've built kind of a library of locations and events that if you start playing Star Citizen today,
There's a
there's
lot of.
that to do, right?
Yeah.
Like that.
I feel like right now this might be the best time for new players in terms of content. There's a lot of content. In the last year I've been here, there's been hardly any points of my game sessions, and I'm 90 something odd episodes into my learning Star Citizen era, and it's like I've had something to do. Every single one of those times I've had something to do, and I'm saying 92 episodes or whatever, but I've played over maybe 200 episodes worth, and because some of it is just not on camera, right? And I still have something to do every single time. I still have something to do. So right now, that is over 1.4K hours in the last year on Star Citizen. And all of that was for an initial $40. All those hours for just $40 is insanity. You'd have to just think about how much money you'd have to pay for that many hours of fun. I will say maybe 100 of those hours were a little bit like full of bugs and things, but the rest of it was gameplay that kept me engaged. So right now it's a really good time for new players because there's so much to do, so much new content, and you're even talking about the next, bro. There's so much to do. Like the next thing in Nix with the whole Raw Cracker, that's gonna be crazy. There's just so much content, and I'm happy with that. I am happy with that.
We never had that before, like a real set of locations that have like a full-on,
Yeah, the
storyline
sandbox
to follow. So that's
things.
really
Yeah.
cool. In these
Onyx
locations, we're able to ship
facilities.
some new creatures, so a lot of new creatures and boss fights. So we have the
yes,
first couple
boss fights.
this year. With Yormandi, Stormbreaker.
I think, right. I really like Stormbreaker because that was really fun. Like Stormbreaker was one of the most fun things I've done so far in Star Citizen. I haven't done Yormandi yet. I'm still like figuring out the Onyx facilities. I have a few more missions to do. What I want to see is CIG putting in some more human. Like I really like the missions with the whole like Amelia Boyd thing and things, but you never got to attack a human. And like I would like to see them do something where there's like a human boss and they actually heal themselves with med pens and they go around the corner and then I want to do some things that I feel overwhelmed with NPCs at a final boss fight where like you're actually fighting NPCs. Like I want to see something like that because I feel like, yeah, all the creatures are cool, but Star Citizen for me, it's more like, it's like the humanity in the future and humanity going to fight each other, right? We're going to fight each other. So yeah, the dog fighting is cool, but I want to see some FPS human bosses.
So that's like a brand new design discipline for us to design boss fights for multiplayer elements. So
Experience,
spawn and hangar is something that we've actually been able to enable this time. So We tried to enable it in
You might hate me, but that is a cop out. I will always feel like spawning hangar is a cop out unless they put some sort of little habitation zone in the hangar, like no one of those like little spaces we have on the sides. Maybe if they put a little tiny habitation zone in there, then I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But spawning in hangar to me is a cop out to try limit the amount of times people run into transit errors. Let me just say it out loud. I said what some of us might be thinking it. I'm just saying it out loud.
end of 24, and that was a bit of a disaster. 25 now, spawning a hangar is there. So if your hangar is available, you spawn directly there. That's actually a very large quality of life improvement. I play the game a lot.
It is,
not
but it's
having to
still a
go
cop
there
out.
is
It doesn't feel organic though. Like no, let's be 100% honest right now. In a game like Star Citizen, where we're traveling, going through space, and doing all these things, does that feel organic to you? The only thing I'll say is right. Like I'll say this now, but it's like it breaks my immersion. But the only good thing is 99% of the time, it's when I first log in. So there isn't any immersion being already built. Right. So I haven't built up that, okay, I've zoned in, I'm in the game. It's like I just started and my brain's like, oh, why am I spawning my hangar? How did I get here? Doesn't matter. Then I move in, then I start getting immersed in my session. I feel like it is a cop out, and I feel like we need to make it make sense. Maybe put a hab in there or something, a little shack where there's a bed and you can you log in and you're on the bed or something. Make it feel nice, because it is a really good quality of life thing, because it eliminates that transit issue, and it eliminates those extra 5 minutes it takes you to get from habitation all the way to the station. But we need to make it make a little bit of sense. That's my only thing. It just doesn't feel like it makes sense.
fantastic. We've been able to put weather in key locations, including some of the
Weather is really nice. Okay, yeah, we like the weather.
we talked about. We're hoping to do more, but for now it actually is there. 2 new star systems. We talk about this. Jump gates, which is a whole
Jump gates are a whole new,
a
bro.
game on its own.
Yeah,
The
they
way it
literally
functions
are,
is
bro.
super
Love
interesting, 'cause
them.
You're going through, the zone is moving, and you're moving. with it.
Yeah,
It's
that's
really a fun
that's
system to
insane.
go through. So
No, what, bro? No, jump gates, like it's one of those experiences where it's like it's scary, but it's fun at the same time. And I like the fact that every different ship you use feels different going through the jump gate. I haven't used any ship, and I'm like, oh, this feels like when I use my Avenger Titan, it feels totally different from a Guardian. It feels totally different from like a Taurus. It feels totally different from like the C1 Spirit. It all feels so different, and if there's different levels of difficulty when you're going through that, so I do like the jump gates.
that's in. We fixed the goddamn bounty beacons, which is one of the coolest loop in the game. I love it.
I haven't done
And,
bounty beacons.
that was obviously not working, so now we've actually got them to work again, which is a big win.
That's for player bounties,
Quantum
eh?
interdiction was in the same bag, where now with a server mesh, having proper interdiction was kind of difficult, so restoring it was an interesting one. We had to actually build systems to allow that, because not every server has a view of the entire shard anymore, and so in order to interdict cross-server, you needed to have a special tech to do that. That fixed also quantum linking. Now, routing is still, there's still issues, right? It's getting there, but at least there's been some quality of life.
Is that the star map? Yeah, there's a lot of
that
issues.
we've done this year. Freight elevator, ongoing.
Freight elevator.
We'll have a whole set. But there's been a lot of, if throughout the year, freight elevators have received.
They've got way better. Yeah, they got way better.
Compared to where they started when we attempted to
race for
when
Stanton.
we pushed them to the forefront.
Yeah.
Compared to where we
way better, way better.
We talked about server FPS and stability from the meshing and the cleanup that we've put in place. Also, we've pushed at the middle of the year. It came for you guys at the end of the year, but actually we merged it at the middle of the year. But a whole new tech base, including at least a year of graphics update, including Vulkan, coming into the game now. That was what will allow us this year to do some pretty large changes.
Wait, is that why the game looks better? Is it because they've been doing a lot of like texture updates? I've noticed that the game looks a lot better since 4.6. It looks way better. Are you telling me that if I use the Vulkan, I get even better? Like my game would look even better than this? Because everyone keeps telling me that DirectX is outdated, but it's like, it gives me the most consistent frames overall. Like throughout my game sessions, I get more consistent frames. Vulkan does well when I'm on somewhere that's like really hard to load, where it's like lower end frames. I'm getting like lower frames. It does better at giving me stable frames then, but when I'm meant to be getting super high frames, I see lower frames. So I do believe DirectX gives me a better experience overall, except for those high impact like zones. When I'm in a high impact zone with a DirectX, my frames do drop. But let me know what you guys think, because I will try Vulcan. I did try Vulcan, and I haven't tried it this patch. I don't know how much better it's gotten, but I guess it's time for me to probably try it out. Yeah, I might have to do that.
The first weaponized mech. So the Atlas
Oh,
18 came
yeah.
in. So that's also a really big boost.
I've only used one
We
of
still
those
don't know if it's a
once.
vehicle. John Crew and I have a.
I need to go get another
ongoing
one. I need to get
feud.
one. No, I need to
He
get
says
one
it's
that
not.
I
I say it
own.
is.
You're dipping into content here. I'm not going to let you count the. I'm not going to let
okay.
you count the ICT. That's content.
Ah, that's fine.
I'm not going to.
Yeah. Well,
Although
this exists.
the jump jets were a feature, I suppose.
There you go.
The jump jets were
There
a
you go.
feature. So I'll give you half credit for the ICT.
Correct. Comms notification got a big facelift. It's something that we want to use a lot more of.
Ooh, that's
And
the
so we needed
videos?
the proper tech to be able to
that
render
the
that
videos?
properly, and not just the equip lines, which you know.
Okay, guys, there's this one dude who gives us the bounty missions. I forgot his name. Can we please make him young again? Okay, he has gone from like the mid 30s to like late 60s. Can we make him young again, bro? Only 1 year has passed. Okay,
You need more immersion than that. So that was actually a pretty big thing with facial.
you know, but those are
animation,
really nice. I do like
tracking,
those.
and so that's
I
in
really,
there.
really
And then
like those.
cross-shard progress for events. So what powered a lot of the content this year was a new service in the background of the game called the scenario service, which whether you're doing clean air or the resource drive last year, the cross-shard progress of these events is tracked by the scenario system, and so that's how we were able to show tables about how many resource
Resource
events
drives.
and resource drives, stuff like that.
Okay, right.
That's a pretty good list. You just got it says 502.
Yes.
Look at that. Look at that.
On time.
Not bad.
And you didn't even mention like item recovery.
No, I did not.
Didn't
touch
mention
that.
item recovery. And there
We
was
don't
one
have
other that I
item.
had
Well,
until I got.
Item recovery needs to, at this point, we need to move on to the next stage, okay, guys? I am starving. I am starving. My belly is grumbling, okay? When I see the good drip, okay? If I'm in a contested zone, if I'm anywhere and I see the good drip, I can't take it. I can't take it. Because they would just respawn with that drip. I need it. I need it.
Distracted by my own
It's all a
clock.
blur.
I got distracted by my own clock. Basically, it's if you've been watching this show long enough, you know that I'm not above taking a section, in this case 5 minutes of the section, to basically go through some talking points that I want, that I think are important, that I think people want to hear. We have had things like the year of playability thrown back at us in comms, and when you see, I tune into a Twitch stream or YouTube thing, and somebody gets a very frustrating experience. I was looking at an experience of somebody, just going to town with their hull C, and they went through a jump point, and it took them trying to go to one system, it kicked them back.
Took him
out to the
back.
next.
That bug pisses me off. Do you know how many times you'll be in your ship and you go through the wormhole and then you're like, yep, I'm in Nyx. And it's like, nope, you're still in Stanton. Or it's like, yep, I'm in Pyro. Nope, you're still in Stanton. Bruh, that boils my blood. But thank God, all you gotta do is fly away a little bit, get in your bed log, and then go to another server, because that is the most aggravating thing ever. After you do that whole mini game when you're flying through these portals, trying not to crash, and then it kicks you back. Nah,
And then the thing crashed. Then they got back in, and the spindles. They tried to open the spindles, but the spindles were closed, or looked closed, but they were actually open. So they were in the wrong state. Tried to get refueled. Tried to go to refuel. The refuel thing wasn't working, and then stowed the ship and spawned the ship, and it didn't come back on the docking port. It came back in
the hangar
full of
with the
cargo.
spindles
And it's
open.
like-
That's why you don't own a big D. Why do you own the big D? Okay, you're flying through space in a big D. Stop it.
I'm sitting here saying we acknowledge those things.
So they know the problem is
But
there.
there was so many massive improvements last year. You used an analogy last time we did with this about I think it was the big freight container, the big giant Suez Canal shipping things, that you don't just turn the direction around, you don't just spin the wheel and suddenly you're facing a new direction. It takes time to move these things. And the efforts of your teams and the people under you, these strike teams, these hero teams as you call them, to turn this ship that we call the persistent universe around in the last year, has been phenomenal. If I'm allowed to have a personal opinion,
they've done a
being
lot
shown
of
from the
great
company that I
things.
am,
No, they've
it's been
done a
phenomenal.
lot of
We haven't
good
gotten
things.
everything. We haven't gotten
Yeah.
everything. We still got another year. We still got.
It's impossible to get everything, especially when they just started realizing that they have ways to fix things. It's not going to get everything. Yes, it's annoying. And I feel like as the community and as the player base, we have a right to be able to still be angry at some things and still voice out some things. That is 100% normal. And that is something that I believe we should be doing, right? But it's the way you put it out. Do you say this is an issue, it needs to get fixed? Or do you say this is an issue, screw Star Citizen, don't bother, the game is ass? Those are the two different things. Like it's able, like, when I speak about the game, I want to tell people like, yeah, this is a really nice game to play, but don't forget there's going to be this bug, this bug, this bug. You might run into this. Sometimes you won't be able to launch in. Sometimes I want to let you know that there's a lot of bugs, but beyond that, there is still that diamond in the rough. Some people don't want to let you know that there's a diamond in the rough. They want to just say, nope, don't play, don't waste your money. It's trash. It'll never work. You shouldn't play it. This is a scam, because they don't want you to find the diamond. And yes, is it sometimes really frustrating to find a diamond? Yes, but there's a way to go about it. Are you going to tell the world this game is ass, don't try it, or this game is very broken, but if you stick to it, you will find one of the best games and one of the best experiences you've ever had in gaming? Those are the two ways. And I see a lot of people going the other way, just saying, don't even bother. Don't even bother. And it's really, really wrong.
Got another year, we're still got another year. The work continues. Yeah. But it's my show, and I wanted to take 5 minutes to acknowledge the tremendous work of those teams. And
yeah, no, definitely. There's been a lot of stuff that was got better.
Amazing content work. You know, I said 10 patches, and I realized we actually had 11 because we kicked engineering out.
Yeah.
We kicked engineering out in December, so it was actually 11 patches. You know, 11 patches in 12 months is pretty crazy. So
yeah, that's a lot of work. Like, think about the amount of things that went on, man.
To have some time.
Glaze, CIG, Glaze. He's glazing Sig, bro.
Because I've seen where we were, and I know where we are, and we're in a much.
See, even that statement, as someone who's only been here just over a year now, I've seen where the game was when I got here, and I've seen where we are right now, and it's a lot better. It's way better than I would have imagined, and I haven't even seen it at its darkest times. So imagine, that's coming from someone who hasn't seen it at like the darkest times. It's gotten so much better. So there's the potential in my brain is starting to get to the point where it's like, it's just limitless. I don't really understand where this ends. I don't see where this ends, because I've seen how much progress they've made in 1 year, you know? And it's a thing of, as they're saying, they've got the tech now, they've got the tools in their hands, and they can start doing better. They're getting used to this system. They're getting used to all of this. And yes, has it been like 13 years? 100%. But technology is finally catching up to the vision, you know?
Better place now. Still,
it's just the beginning of the
still places to go.
Yeah, still places to go. 100%.
That scenario I just described was like last week, and we got still places to go.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean we don't acknowledge the progress we made.
I think it's a testament to kind of the systematic approach we've taken to solve some of these issues, instead of previously we used to just assign tickets to people and they would, find the fastest way to solve it. And now we kind of work as a team with the teams in quality assurance that are basically the arbinger. Like, no, it's not fixed. I can still repro, right? And these guys have been going through a systematic approach for it. I think that's paid off a bit,
We get better.
Yeah.
Not always, but we try. And in this case, we've definitely gotten better. There were some big changes to internal infrastructure and stuff in the last year or two, and we're seeing the results of that stuff. So now let's go into some specific updates here. So let's talk about the transport system. We don't need to talk about transit so much anymore. The transport system is
the new
what
system
will one day replace this thing. I've heard talk about there being a tech preview of it soon. Talk to me about the transport system.
What is it, man?
Transit was problematic, wasn't designed for server meshing. And so transport is a complete rebuild of the transit system, but using
better
more
tech.
server meshing native approaches for how different pieces are going to manage elements that are streamed out and streamed in. We're also moving away from some previous misconceptions that were put into the transit system. For example, one of them was responsible for trains going into space.
I
we
told
don't want trains
you
to go into space.
I told you.
Well, I mean, unless we do a space elevator.
Astro train.
Yeah. Astrotrain rebuild.
Yo, imagine, no, I just thought of something. Imagine you can take a train from Area 18 straight to Baijini Station. Imagine they let you take a train straight from, so let's say you're stuck on planet and for some reason the A-stop terminal's not letting you take your ship from planet. And you can just get on the train, wait like 6 minutes, and the train goes into quantum and gets your ass into the space station. Oh my Lord.
So the state of transport, right? So at the end of last year,
Sorry, I'm going to pause. What's included in transport? So
Yeah. What is transport?
What are we talking about?
so
Elevators?
transit and transport manage elevators, in-ship elevators, trains, anything that has to move when you press a button and you call it.
Ah,
So
okay.
it's a network of carriage, peripheral, and gateway.
Okay.
Right. So
Right.
you take an elevator to go to your hangar. That's transit.
You take a
That's
tram.
transit, yeah.
take a tram.
Tram, you
It's
use your
automated.
elevator on your
Anything that
ship.
moves you
Exactly.
not under your control.
Right. And he's the one moving
Right.
the carriages, right? So he needs to deal with carriages being streamed out, like prediction for that stuff. So,
Okay.
so transport is a rebuild of the original transit, which has been, as we talked about, problematic. So the state on transport is at this point, it's functional. So we've, the team at the end of last year actually completed the first transport link, which was we tested this internally with our QA teams extensively at this point. All of the new Babbage HABs links. So we took one link in the universe, that one, and we tested the crap out of it. Right now, that's a static link.
So
it's
the new
going-
Babbage,
this-
that's
when I say
Microtech,
static,
right?
it means the 2 points that the elevator goes to exist. They always exist. So we know that works. Then the state at the moment is we also support hangars. So these are dynamic gateways, because if you're online and you're at the location, your hangar is spawned there. That's a
Exists,
dynamic
yeah.
gateway. If you leave, that gateway disappears. So the system needs to deal with dynamic gateways. The previous system
Did not.
kinda did, and the kinda bit was the piece that wasn't great. And so we've got internally at the moment new Babbage, we've got hangars and HABs. So the state of transport now is the team is working at converting all of Area 18. So we're talking HABs, hangars, transit trains, all of
Everything.
Area 18 to the transport
System.
so
Yes. Yes, they're showing love to the home planet.
we're going to go to tech preview with that. That's our plan. And the
Ah,
reason why we
okay.
need to go to tech preview is because we need players. We've tested this internally. We can't muster as much
Enough
players as
players,
we
yeah,
want,
yeah.
So we're going to try to see if you guys want to come and help us out, test the new Babbage Transit for real.
See, I want to say a good way to like get more people to go into the PTU would be more or less giving more rewards. Giving more substantial rewards and like little things bound to your account, like little exclusive skins. I don't know if they do this already. If they do, just let me know, because I've never done the PTU. But I feel like if they give like skins or something that's bound to your account to say like it's just like a little bit of a thank you for you being in the PTU. I feel like a little bit you'll get a few more people who'll be willing to go in and do some things for you in the PTU, because there's just not enough there's not enough incentive. And when you can just play the persistent universe and all your work carries on with you. I know some of the PTU work doesn't carry on with you, so it's like there's no reason to play it,
On a tech preview to validate all the assumptions that are in the system.
So we're going to launch a tech preview and ask people to just come and ride the elevators.
Correct.
Come
Just
and
use the
ride
elevators back and
their
back and back.
in the hangars and hope nobody dies.
No trains in space. No doors opening to nothingness.
To nothing. Yes, the nothing is the abyss.
That'd be great. No passing through the floors in the
hangars.
carriages.
The single most exciting tech preview we'll ever do, but incredibly important because it's a tech preview that doesn't just affect Area 18. It's one that can literally affect quality of life in every
All
single
over the
landing
verse.
zone, on board every single spaceship
That has an
the
elevator.
ships that have elevators
Yeah.
and stuff. Well, then space stations. It's going to be this little thing for Area 18, but it ripples out to everything.
To
And so after a
everything.
tech preview, if everything is validated, there's one thing too we want to try to avoid is the train prediction taking like you in 32 seconds to come in, where the train says train arrives in 1,060,000.
Yeah,
which
I've seen that.
We hope that.
I just thought it was a metaphor for the project.
Yeah, no, I've seen that. That's the scariest thing ever.
At this point, you are. So after tech preview, we're gonna scale this out to every landing zone. and we're going to see which patch this will load in. But at that point, we hope to bring transport in and completely deprecate the transit system.
I'd say
from the game
4.8.
and nuke it from orbit. Cool.
Oh, damn. Okay, so
And
he's going
that's
to take it
next week.
completely out.
We don't give dates. Best effort, but it's looking good. Like this tech preview.
But you know what? I like the not giving dates. I feel like when you give a date, if you're not ready by that date, you're stressing yourself out and mistakes are going to be made. Not giving dates and putting in when you feel like you're ready, I like that
we're going to
approach.
evaluate really like where we're at with scale, because the issues with transit typically come up with scale most of the time. Right?
Fair enough.
Yes, definitely. Scale.
I told you we get back to freight elevators. So what can you tell me about freight elevators and what still needs to happen?
Sure. So the freight elevators are way more complicated than we can imagine, because they get affected by other systems like hangars, like planetary locations. There's also multiple flavors of them, top loading, side loading, and they all operate very differently. So this year, we've had issues at the beginning of the year, clearly, with the freight elevators, like losing items.
Still happening.
Obstruction, blocking them from functioning.
Yeah, things are still happening right now.
You said the beginning of the year, but that really came to a head in July.
Yeah.
mid-year.
Where we
Nah,
had even
but
an event.
They can't say that. It's still happening. Like losing items, it's still happening right now, which is like, I think I've counted in the last couple of weeks. It is still very much like happening.
That would rely on them, which was, in retrospect,
Well, we knew there was a collection of issues, but we also, all of our data said they were only
Localized.
The localized list. It wasn't until we went to scale
That's right.
that we realized, oh, this is actually even worse than we thought.
Then they
Right.
tell you.
It's also coupled to a couple of things, and for that event specifically, which was, we concentrated missions in key locations. That's one
Yeah.
thing that has been
The resource
in our
drive as
discussion
well
all
destroyed
year,
everything. Yeah.
was how we distribute missions, right? How we, if we launch a new mission tomorrow morning and we send everybody to the same spot, that is
It's
problematic.
cooked.
Not just because it's
Yeah.
not fun, because it's a traffic jam, but also it causes other issues. And so we learned a lot from that on the
Yeah,
design
that
side.
was very
overall.
bad,
But
very
so
bad.
freight elevators, though, so we're pretty happy with some of the core mechanics, but there's still very egregious issues that we're tracking. So there's roughly 73 total issues that we know about. 51 of those have been resolved. So I've asked one of our teams in
51 has been resolved. Nope, that's cap. 51 we think have been resolved.
our Nathaniel Fisher, resident expert in freight elevators, to track that. So the rest of these issues some of them are really problematic. One of them we actually discussed, you and I, just before the show, was how if you're turning in Wicklow items, you need to
You
put
have to
them
be
one
able
by
to put
one.
things in a box. You have to be able to put things in a box.
All right. And so
My first time at Wicklow, I went with my MG script, fruit berry blast, and ice cream. I put it down on the elevator so I could get a Wicklow favor and my prize and my reputation. And Wicklow only took the ice cream and the smooth berry blast. And my 50 MG script vanished. It vanished. I worked so hard to get those 50 MG script, and Wicklow just took it.
You have to be able to put things in a box and have it suck up
Yes.
that box.
yes, I agree, 100%.
Course.
And so that's going to be one of the first ones I think we need to look at. The other one is a bit more problematic because we don't have a proper repro for, but sometimes there are lost items that fail if there's like a back-end slowdown when things get stowed. So we have a couple reports for this, not many, but the ones that we have are critical. And so this is a kind of a rule we've set on the CGP team. So Jens and
But I feel like sometimes when I have things disappear, I put it down, it doesn't appear. I feel like sometimes I see them the next day when I come back.
I are pushing this to everybody. It's like the golden rule for everything related to freight elevators or anything that touches inventory is a player should never lose an item interacting with these systems, right? We need trust in them 100%.
Yeah,
And so
100%, yeah.
that's why we're tracing on those issues. So there's still a lot more work required on freight elevators for different edge cases. A new one that we started seeing in 4.6, which seems affected by another change, but is sometimes like putting stuff on the elevator, not on the grid, will cause it to disappear.
Yes,
Which is kind of a
yes.
physics cleanup conflict. So I know we're looking into this right now because that's a big
That
one.
is a
But
thing. That's happened.
and then everything that has to do with stacking So having a stack in your inventory that you want to unstow onto the freight elevator, that mechanism from a backend perspective is actually a creation. I know that sounds weird, but you have a stack of 10, that's one item with a stack of 10. You may bring it, it's a creation of 9. So that bit is not stable right now. We're trying to improve that that mechanism.
It's hard because there's a lot of the chat right now is debating Wicklow at the moment, and
Why did I say his name?
if I say it 3 times, he shows up on the screen. But a not insignificant part of the dislike for Wicklow is directly related to that freight elevator.
Yeah,
it's
100%.
just there's no it's.
There's no trust, is what it is. There's no trust.
We asked around. We'll get to it, but we'll give you a preview. But we started talking like what is the single greatest quality of life thing that we can do. And I went around and I asked a couple head honchos here around the company because I was curious. I did an interview before, like what to you is the single biggest quality of life thing we could do on more than one occasion. Shout out to Jens. I'm going to spoil it here. Not losing items. Just not losing items.
Losing items sucks. Losing items is one of the biggest things because a lot of us are, if you're like me, I'm a collector. I like to collect things. Some people might say I'm a hoarder, but I like to collect things. And when you lose items, especially when you fought hard for them, you've done a contested zone, you got to the end, you do an executive hanger, or you do all of these things that they've added into the game to get these special things, and you lose them, it sucks. It does suck. Especially right now we have tier 0 where you're spawning with your gear. So it's not like you're losing them to a gunfight or anything. You're just losing them because the game decides to eat them, And that, I feel like that really does suck. So having trust in the fact that you won't lose items is a big thing that Star Citizen does need.
Everything else is important. Everything else is super important. Everything else is super necessary. It absolutely is. But God is my witness. If we can just make it so people don't lose their items, so
I agree.
Shout out to the heroes of the freight elevator hero squad. I thought it was Strike Squad, but you've rebranded it during this call as Hero Squad, and I like it.
Right.
So we'll do it. And everybody, the people on item recovery, the people in the new inventory, people who are working on the new inventory system right now. It's everybody working to fix that because that's just the single most demoralizing thing in the world to me. Speaking of item recovery, we launched
when do we move
V0
on?
or V1 or whatever the heck we called it, T0. I'm hearing that there's a T1 on the horizon.
Correct.
Talk to me about it.
Okay.
Well, so obviously tier 0 was a fairly large change to the game. So that
very large change.
in the case where you die in the verse, instead of having to run a corpse run to recover your items, you would actually respawn with them. This was mainly done to, we're in an alpha game, we needed to do some compromises, so we looked at that. So item imprint, there's multiple names for this at this point. Item imprint, item recovery, tier 1, entitlements 2.0. Those are all
entitlement. It's called entitlement. You've been entitled to keep your gear.
Related. So the gist of it is, and this ties into some other subjects, but currently when you play the game, right, and you look at your ASOP terminal, I think I've said that last time, but I'll still go through it again. When you look at your ASOP terminal, the list that you see there is the list of entitlements that you own, which ship that you own, you have a right to, right? Then that's cross-linked with the actual ship. Do you have it? This entitlement, let's say it's a Connie, what is it in the game, right? And where is it? And that's how the ASOP terminal shows you the list, right? So that's why you're able to have a row when there's no ship and it says retrieve or deliver, right? That creates the ship. Then deliver brings you the ship on the platform. Those entitlements currently, they don't live across patches. We recreate them. The first time you log in, there's a big process that reconciles your account, grabs your web purchases, grabs your LTP records, and recreates those entitlements. Obviously, long-term persistence has always been it's a difficult problem to solve. It sounds simple, but it is not.
Yeah,
I assure you.
It's a lot of wheels turning.
But in order to facilitate all this and also other item recovery needs, we've decided to basically persist those entitlements across patch. So these things will never get wiped anymore. And so losing a ship is not going to be a thing. That's not going to be technically possible. We never really delete entitlements. And so
you don't want to delete them at all.
Records, so you can claim insurance. The only way to lose a ship will be if you no longer have insurance on it. You still have the deed for it, but you can't claim it.
Right, so that's how insurance is going to work. You won't be able to claim it. So even if you can't claim a ship, it'll still be there and you just need to get insurance for the ship and then you can claim it. Oh, interesting.
Item recovery is a rework of the entitlement system. It touches on how you claim insurance on ships.
Okay.
It allows snapshotting of ships, but also FPS items, so that these live with an insurance loadout that we can keep and
Right.
recover, and then will give us the ability to recover or claim your even FPS items. So think of it as an insurance system for FPS items. Right?
See, I feel like to make it simpler, maybe it's going to be a thing of where you have to insure a full loadout and you have to give it a name. Let's say I have my heavy armor on, I've got my pulverizer or my P6 or whatever. I have those on. I have my every single thing I need, my tractor and my medical gun. I go to a terminal and I insure that loadout. And I can save that loadout as, I don't know, bunker running. Then when I go to my ASOP terminal, it shows up as claim back bunker running or claim back this, that, or the third. And then that way, it's not like you're claiming back every single item and it's like a whole huge list of items. It's just a loadout. You're claiming back that loadout and it gives you the price it's going to cost you to actually like insure that loadout. That might be easier, but I'm not a developer, but I feel like that could be easier to just bunch them up as one entity and just give it back to you like that.
This whole mechanic ties into LTP as well. We're also hoping through the system to solve some of the issues that exist with taking components off of a ship, then claiming the ship, losing the components, and or in some cases being able to duplicate some default components. This whole loop is insurance has always been a problem design.
They want to stop insurance fraud. Guys, insurance fraud is going. CIG is planning on taking away insurance fraud. Duplicating components is going to be gone. Oh no, they're taking away insurance. Oh no, insurance fraud is dying.
As for how this functions. So item imprint v1 allows you to imprint items, save that state, and then recover it on death or when you claim insurance.
All right, so I have a couple questions here based on
Sure.
what I heard. You keep mentioning insurance. Are you saying that insurance will be in alongside V1 or just
No.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
I say insurance because that's the same kind of loop in terms of what the services are doing.
But it shouldn't be
to do
the
this, but
insurance.
basically, it's a snapshot we recover from.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
So when item recovery V1 comes out, it'll still be much like it is today as far as insurance. Everybody will just have everybody has LTI on everything at the moment right now until that very specific gameplay system is implemented. So
Wait, no. Lifetime insurance for everything? Yes. We can't put that in before we go even beta, right? We have to put that in on 1.0 and beyond. How is that going to work for a game that's still in development and you have to start paying? Because I know they're going to probably try to monetize it, insurance, in some way, some shape, some form. So we can't put that in until, well, at least not the outside of the game real money insurance. We can't put that in until the game goes live. Like, it has to all be in-game credits. There is no way I see them. There's no way I feel like that's fair to have the game still in alpha and we have No. You need to wait until 1.0. That's the only way. Seriously, only way.
this is not that.
No.
You're using lowercase I insurance.
Lowercase
not-
I, yes.
Okay, not
Sorry,
I
just needed to-
insurance.
I'm like, I
Underscore I.
didn't think ship insurance was coming in this one.
Yeah.
Until
So
yeah.
just to clarify that before folks go
It
on.
gets crazy. Yeah.
You're saying that because it's a change to the entitlement system and everything will just get snapshot and moved over. When you say people will no longer lose ships, you're talking about that whenever a patch comes out, people come in.
I lost
talking
this
about the
ship, I
ships
lost
they've
that ship.
earned in game, the ships they've either bought with AUEC or stolen or whatnot. Those should persist.
Can steal a ship?
If you have an entitlement for something, we no longer wipe that between patches at all. We keep it completely.
Okay.
So that should give us a lot more. In fact, it is exactly the way you would expect it to function right now, except the way the systems were built in the past didn't account for that. And so there was cases where you could lose something that you own because it was left unstowed in a shard or something like that. And so
So now
with
you don't have to
entitlement
store your
system,
things
we
anymore. Okay.
cross-patch.
So the first question I have in response to that is, how will people get rid of things? Because quite frankly,
We need a sell option because some of you guys have shown me your list of ships and you have like 50 odd ships, man. Like, we need to be able to delete things, like sell it and get me my money back.
I might go joyriding one day, or I might buy a thing for AUEC and fly it, and then decide I don't want it.
I don't want it
like
anymore.
and now it's just sitting there
Sitting there in your
staring
hand.
at me
Yep.
Sure.
in the ASOP. If these things don't go away between patches now, every time I want to try a ship, or I just move away for a ship, or John Crew nerfs the hell out of the ship and I don't want to fly it anymore.
Goddamn John Crew.
I might want to get rid of it. So will there be is there going to be
sell
a mechanism
option.
for getting rid of these things?
Well, not with item imprint, right? As part of this, no. But there are, I don't want to go too much into details into this, but
Plans to
give an
get a
example
cell.
of, like, you have a ship filled with cargo that you stow into your location inventory in New Babbage, and you claim that ship, right? In the current way the system works, that cargo's lost, right?
Yeah.
That ship will get deleted and you're done, right? You get a new one, but it's the same entitlement, right? With the new system, we have the ability to also show you ships that you own that had an entitlement on it. And so what that means is you could claim that ship, you'll get a new, let's say it's a Caterpillar filled with cargo, and you're like, I need to claim it for some reason. You can claim the ship. The other ship will be bricked, right? That's how the design is functioning.
Right, so they brick
it's
the
no longer
ships
usable,
now.
but you can still retrieve it. You can still retrieve the bricked ship and get it. And then if you destroy the ship or tow it out, then it'll go away from your entitlement. But there's going to be more system, of course, to remove that from your ASOP terminal.
That doesn't
longer
answer
term,
the
but
question.
Not in this phase, but longer term, yes.
Yeah.
Longer
I'm
term,
just
okay,
thinking
right.
I'm thinking about the
Longer
long-term
ship
players,
list.
the people who have been here for a while, who have acquired a rather massive
Ship
fleet
ASOP list,
already.
yeah.
And
I'm a victim of this.
you know, and you start buying ships, and it's I'm guilty, but there's just sometimes I don't want this anymore. I don't want to.
Honestly, that is something that does scare me. Like, that's why you guys notice I don't buy that many ships. I don't want to have a long ass list of ships, bro. I want the top 10 ships I use, and that's it. Like, I have one for everything I need. I don't want to buy a bunch of ships. So that does scare me, having a huge ass list.
I don't want to look at a I don't know, a Rock DS anymore. Just want it
Haven't
out of
used
my
it.
ASOP. I bought it mistakenly from Astro Armada. I just had a momentary weakness. I don't want that Rock DS staring at me in my ASOP for the end of time, because you've done a wonderful thing with item recovery, V1.
But now you keep it,
and
but now
they're
you're stuck with
persistent.
it.
Not
Some
everything's
things
Are you
there.
saying
aren't
you
meant
don't
to
want
be-
your ships anymore?
I'm just saying some things aren't meant to be persistent. So I just want to take this opportunity to just
That's a
encourage
good conversation.
There should be some way to
Delete.
remove, to get
I'm
rid.
Yeah.
very curious about why you singled out the Rock DS out of this.
Jared hates the Rock DS confirmed. Oh, you haven't been watching for a while if you're just getting that confirmed now. Jared, you're not supposed to be going on shows and telling people you hate certain ships. You're supposed to be championing everything. I'm like,
Yeah,
No, he's a human. He's allowed to have likes and hates.
I hate the Rock DS.
it's comfy though. It's good to get.
Hold on, let's just do everything the first Rock does, but require two people.
Like, 2 people? Nah.
I've never lied to you. I never will.
Sure.
It's the only promise I've ever made people. You've been mentioning long-term persistence, so let's just wrap up this the
arc.
storyline of losing stuff, keeping stuff. The last time we had this conversation, you talked about utilizing this entitlement system. Is that what we were just talking about, or is there more stuff?
There's more. So there's a lot of work ongoing on this, on the long-term persistent side. So just for those who don't know what long-term persistent is, or LTP, there's a mechanism we put in place to allow you to keep things between patches. Every patch we basically destroy, like when you come into 4.7, when it comes out, that's a brand new database, right? The whole thing is fresh. And then
so everything gets
recreate
destroyed.
things. Now, why do we recreate things? It's because these things are still changing. So
And
the format
so
you had-
that's why you're losing things, because you're recreating things, and if something slips off that list, it's gone.
4.5 is probably different than the Hornet you have in 4.6. Item port locations have changed, materials have changed, serialized variables and all the data that goes with it.
Some
has changed.
The
textures
gold
and
standard
things.
Aurora that we just launched is
Great
technically an entirely different ship. The whole entity is different.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Under the hood, to the backer, it looks like okay, you
Everything's
just
the
added
same,
some,
yeah.
you added some fins and blah blah blah. But under the hood, it's an entirely new set of entities.
And so in order to allow us to keep stuff, we've built this system on the side that kind of keeps records of what you own. So it says you own a Hornet, right? That system is always been kind of a, not, I don't want to say a crutch because it did function for a long time, but we've outgrown it quite a bit. There are also many cases where we would remove records of things that you own because they're in play in a shard. And that's been proven to be a bit of a bad decision overall. And so that's why we've had multiple issues over the years of like players losing ship entitlements in the new patch, or having more items than they were supposed to get. Like, some people have shown some screenshots of
we got some
demultiplication of
ships.
things.
Get different shit that you don't own.
So it's been a big issue, right? So with the item imprint work, we're tying into that. We're reducing the footprint of what LTP manages by a lot, because it will no longer store your entitlements. We just keep those as is. So that's one big bit removed from that system. The other complexity on that side is that it needs to manage nested inventories. That's just completely crazy. So like, I have a handgun stored in the glove box of my Merlin that's attached to my Connie, that's parked somehow inside of my,
So it also handles, so like, let's say you have like my C1 and I've got a Tumbril Cyclone and I've got a box in the Tumbril Cyclone and I've got something in the box, or I've got a bag in the box and I got something in the bag in the box, or I got something in the armor piece in the box and then I got something in the armor piece in the box. Oh yeah, that's a long day, bro.
Idris and stowed in my location inventory. Well, I need to give you a record for that gun.
All of that.
Right? And so that system needs to reread data and store it, and it's really complicated.
Which is why people have gotten into the habit before a wipe, or before
To
not
just
wipe,
put
but before a patch.
everything.
Freudian slip, huh? I could just.
Everyone's going to be saying wipe.
But before a patch, people stow things in certain inventories to have their best chances.
Yeah, to kind of set it up, right? So on long-term persistence, ultimately, we don't want this system, right? Ultimately, we want to get to a point where we don't need it. So step one is to reduce its footprint. So that's part of item imprint is that. So that's a big deal. But the next steps start from the very low level. And will require some large company change. We need to be able to migrate your old Hornet into the new one, right? Or at least be able to know it changed enough, I need to give you a new one, right? Or
just take this
being able to just migrate the shape of the hierarchy, the item port locations, and the serialized variable formats on these things. Now, the thing you got to think about the way the ships are built, right? The entities have components on them which enable them to do something. Right. I'll give an example just for the layman. You have a health component on an entity that says, hey, I got 100 hit points. When that reaches 0, then we destroy the entity, or something else happened, it destroys itself, right? That component is written in code. There's a game programmer that's maintaining this. We actually have a health component. It does way more things than this, but just to keep it simple. So a game programmer is programming this, and he needs to persist the value of health, so that when this ship is now either put in an inventory, then brought back into the game, that the values of the health components on the parts, on the individual parts, have persisted, and we reload it, right? This is true for everything in the game, right? We have serialized variables and components across the game. There's, I think your character at the moment has like 800 serialized variables on it, or something like that. Right?
800.
So those are all different components. Are you crouched? Are you standing? Are you, health of all the limbs, stuff like that, right? So the programmers between patches, they just change that. I removed this one, and I put a new one in, and then because some of those variables, it doesn't matter if it changes. Yeah. Some of them matter, right? If you change that, like it's a different shape, it loads a different CGA model, whatever, right? So that's the big problem about how we need to forward migrate, is we need to do this at the very low level. So currently, our network team and our online teams are working at this mechanism to be able to differentiate the important from the important SVs, the serialized variables, on components. So that's all across all components in the game. There's over 1,500, 2,000 components, individual code components in the game. For example, I don't need to know if you're crouched when I stow you in your inventory, right? I don't need to know that, right? But I need to know that when we're running and you're crouched, right? So we differentiate the two, and then we have a mechanism to migrate the data format from one to the other. When we get that functionality in and reliable, what that means is that we will just keep the database And that is huge, because now that means there's no longer a process between patches that transfers stuff or moves it around or recomputes things. It's the same database. We're just moving
the
its
same
version
database,
forward
right?
on demand. Now we've looked at multiple different options for that. Some of them were like, just migrate people from one to the other, but then we'd have to keep 5 databases behind. It's just impossible. And so right now we're working at that option, and that's the longer term vision that we have for that. So first, reduce the footprint of the LTP system so it just manages some things, not all, and then work on the real fundamental issue, which is we need forward migration on all this data.
How many times in your life has a errant, random, unexpected serialized variable been the cause of distress in your life?
I mean, it's crazy. This is the single most important thing, because like, in case you guys don't know, every time we do full patch is easy because we patch server, client, hybrid, everything goes in at once. But when we perform hotfixes, and God knows we've done a lot of hotfixing this year, right?
Yeah, hotfixing last year was.
Now. But there's like specific steps where we have our live QA team need to do compatibility checks, and any change to any serialized variable, added, removed, change the format, change the data, whatever,
Causes an
incompatible
error.
client. And so
Yeah.
getting our processes in place to catch those before they get introduced, right, is really taxing, because there's always also fix this bug, and that make the whole hotfix
thing,
incompatible,
yeah,
and we can't launch
yeah.
it. So we have to backtrack, change our approach, whatever. And so that's the kind of thing we're dealing with. This will also solve
So
that.
damn,
if
so
we-
that's super
we can make it.
annoying.
In before somebody
And
says,
we'd be like, we want hot fixes, give us hot fixes. When it's like, yo, one thing got changed and now everything is cooked.
should have just made a simpler game, Benoit.
Simpler game and we wouldn't be here.
Making a
It's a
simpler
simpler
game.
game. Yeah. Cool.